Here we go, guys. I've got the right backing track, and I'm gonna keep going with the Triglav fucking speed run.
Donald Trump on Meet the Press just aired on Sunday, where Donald Trump says he does not know or believe if he needs to follow the Constitution. This was a full meltdown in this interview. Donald Trump said he really didn't even care if the United States went into a recession, and he said he was going to speak to Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney about conquering Canada and annexing it because Donald Trump wants it to be the 51st state. Let me show you what went down on this disastrous interview. First, Donald Trump saying he doesn't know if he has to follow the Constitution.
I think this might be
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens,
find out what I get stuck on.
Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not.
I kind of knew I needed a good
lawyer.
weapon eventually.
I don't know.
The Fifth Amendment says
I don't know. It seems.
I can farm a weapon
might say
here.
that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have
The
a
little guy
million or
that
2
he-
million
this
or
little
3
guy was
million
born.
trials. We have thousands of people that are some
I-
murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth.
But
Some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as
I
president?
don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said. What you said is not what I heard the Supreme Court said. They have a different interpretation.
Is anyone in your administration right now in contact with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia to
I don't know. You'd have to ask the Attorney General that question.
Donald Trump, you may want to read the Constitution, specifically Article 2, Section 1, Clause 8, which talks about the oath that you took. But you don't even know the oath that you took.
He's
You
going
hate
to
the
jail
United
so many
States
times
of
already,
America.
man.
Here, Donald Trump talks about the military parade that's probably going to cost taxpayers over $100 million with 7,000 troops, 50 helicopters, paratroopers, and he wants to do a Kim Jong-un style military parade for his birthday in June. Donald Trump says it will be worth it, everybody. Play this clip.
The president also told me that next month he's planning a military parade celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army that also falls on his 79th birthday.
We're going to have a big, beautiful parade.
a military parade?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to celebrate our military. We have the greatest military in the world.
What's the price tag? Do you
People, peanuts compared to the value of doing it. We have the greatest missiles in the world. We have the greatest submarines in the world. We have the greatest army tanks in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. And we're going to celebrate it.
As support
Donald Trump talks about his other priority is building a massive grand ballroom adjacent to the White House. Play this clip.
We are going to make and build a ballroom, which they've wanted for probably 100 years at the White House. And it'll be a world-class, beautiful ballroom.
a ballroom that could cost millions of dollars. He says he will pay for it himself.
You will fund it.
I'm not going to ask the government for money. I'll fund it, and I'm sure we'll have some donations to it. But it's not an inexpensive thing.
Next, Donald Trump talks about how when he meets with Prime Minister Carney, he will bring up annexing Canada and taking it over. Play the clip.
It's too early to say that. I don't want to get into that argument.
Let's move on to Canada. You have long talked about making Canada the 51st state. There's obviously a new Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who you spoke to after his victory. He says that you didn't talk to him in that call about making Canada a 51st state.
No, he called me. He was very nice, and I congratulated him. He had a victory. It's a very close victory. It's, there's no majority or anything, so that's going to make things a little bit difficult, I think, for him to run. But he nevertheless had a victory, and he's a very nice man, I think.
Do you plan to talk to him about making Canada a 51st state?
He wants to come and see me. He's going to come this week or next week.
So will you talk to him about making Canada a 51st state, annexing Canada?
I'll always talk about that. You know why? We subsidize Canada to the tune of $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. In fact, we don't want their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't even want their energy. We have more than they do. We don't want their military than practically any nation in the world. They pay NATO less than any nation. They think we're subsidized. They think we are going to protect them. And really, we are. But the truth is They don't carry their full share, and it's unfair to the United States and our taxpayers.
But you are not ruling out military force to take Greenland.
I don't rule it out. I don't say I'm going to do it, but I don't rule out anything. No, not there. We need that. We need Greenland very badly. Greenland is a very small amount of people, which we'll take care of and we'll cherish them and all of that.
What the fuck?
But we need that for international security.
The Trump organization.
Donald Trump is asked by Kristen Welker, so when does this become the Trump economy? Donald Trump says, basically, I'm going to blame Biden when things are bad, and if things get good, that will be the Trump economy. Play this clip.
A deal very badly. We'll see how that all turns out, but it's got to be a fair deal.
When does it become the Trump economy?
So this is like a puzzle.
It partially is right now, and I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy, and the bad parts are the Biden economy, because he's done a terrible job. He did a terrible job on everything. From his auto pen, which I'm sure he knew nothing about some of the things he was supposedly signing.
But, sir, you acknowledge when you announced your tariffs, for example, the stock market dropped. It's been volatile. It has since gone up.
It is,
do you take responsibility for that? Yeah. Do you take responsibility when it drops?
Ultimately, I take responsibility for everything, but I've only just been here for a little more than 3 months.
How utterly pathetic is that? Donald Trump has no concept of trade as well. Donald Trump says that things are booming now because there's basically a trade embargo on China, so they can't get rich off of us. So we're getting rich, Donald Trump says. Play this clip.
And we were very tough with China, as you know. We put 145% tariff on. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. And we've essentially cut off trade relationships by putting that much of a tariff on.
Okay, well,
and
that's okay.
We've got cold turkey. That means that we're not losing. You know, we lost $1 trillion to China. $1 trillion. That means we're not losing $1 trillion when we go cold turkey, because we're not doing business with them right now.
How is he even talking about this? Donald Trump says that he has a warm spot in his heart for Tic Tac, and he says even if he can't get a deal with China, he would like Tic Tac, he's referring to TikTok, to stay open because he's got a warm spot for Tic Tacs.
Oh, there's the guy going in the bathroom.
So you want to see a deal?
I'd like to see it done. I have a little sweet spot in my heart because, as you know, I won young people by 36 points. That's a lot. No Republican ever won young people, and I won it by 36 points, and I focused on TikTok. So perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I have a little warm spot in my heart for TikTok.
Donald Trump basically says in this next clip that he doesn't give a crap about small businesses. He's not thinking about small businesses, not on his mind. Play this clip.
So small businesses say they are being hurt by the Chinese tariffs, and some could be forced to shut down.
And many businesses are being helped.
Are you considering tariff relief for small businesses?
Why do you always mention that, you know, you pick up a couple of little businesses? What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune.
Maybe you should know, Donald Trump, that small businesses employ about 80% of Americans. Small businesses are suffering right now. And while you lie and claim that prices are lower and everybody's getting rich, we all know that this is a rug pull Ponzi scheme presidency. Donald Trump then says that I don't think that baby girls should, or girls that are 11 years old, need to have $30. They shouldn't have $30. They have too much dolls. They should have $2, he says, and maybe pay more for the $2. In other words, the United States government will be involved in central planning. They will tell you how many dolls that you should have. By the way, the oligarchs can have 20, 30, 40 private jets, massive yachts, multiple massive yachts, live in 50 mansions. And by the way, who has $30? What are you even talking about? Here, play this clip.
Talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week. Got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have $30. I think they can have $3 or $4 because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
When you say they could have $3 instead of $30,
I just have to stop
are you saying
because
they don't need America?